Good morning, everyone. I'm just going to cover about social media, the rule of law, and the role of lawyers in this session. I have some slides, but they are not on the screen yet. Yes. I think it's kind of cut off. Is it possible to make it, resize it? Okay. Okay, so I'll start off with the fact that mass media has always influenced popular perceptions of the judiciary and the legal system. However, the lack of oversight on social media has been a game changer when dealing with public confidence in law. So currently, I think it's known to everyone that social media is the new public square, and it shapes society's perception of justice, the judiciary, and the efficacy of the legal system. So my secretariat staff said that since I'm covering social media, they wanted to put in all the colors and all that to make it trendy. So challenge number one is as I said, is the lack of oversight of social media. It can dent public confidence in the rule of law. And the torrent of misinformation and confirmatory bias can polarize and propagate viewpoints. And it is difficult for the public to understand the decision of the court is based on facts, evidence, law, and not public sentiment swayed by social media. And there is a new term that has come up called emotivism, which is the view that moral judgments do not function as statement of fact, but rather as expressions of feelings. So how can we ensure that the rule of law stands firm in the face of this digital onslaught? So the concept of social media affecting the rule of law has always been fairly complex, and it is in a way a double-edged sword. I will just set out the pros and cons to share with everyone. So on the one hand, social media expands accessibility to information, it gives voice to the marginalized communities, and exposes abuse and corruption. But some of the dangers are clear as systemic, such as misinformation and disinformation. There are distorted facts eroding trust in institutions. There's a trial by social media. It undermines due process, so individuals are condemned online before they ever step into a courtroom. So one example is the Johnny Depp and the Amber Heard trial. And algorithm-driven polarization, so this popularity contest where social media influencers or prominent online figures with millions of followers wield the power to speak polarized viewpoints or propagate bias. It makes it very difficult for the public or juries to understand that the decision or result is based on facts of the case, the evidence, the law, and not the public sentiment swayed by social media. And attacks on judges weakens independence, so online harassment and attacks against judges, prosecutors, and lawyers tends to weaken judicial independence and discourage lawful but unpopular decisions. So media pluralism has also eroded. So what is the perception of human rights in the digital era? It is inseparable from the protection of fundamental rights, and automated content moderation often results in arbitrary censorship. Unchecked hate speech suppresses democratic participation, and algorithms driven by profit will dictate whose rights are silenced. So what is the role of lawyers and bar associations? The view is, for us, is that social media can either enhance or erode the rule of law. The outcome depends on how we, as guardians of justice, respond. So we must, as defenders of due process, remind society that justice must be done in courts and not in hashtags or online petitions. It is our duty to speak out against trial by social media and to uphold the presumption of innocence. We are also protectors of judicial independence. We must defend judges and fellow lawyers when they come under unfair attack online. And the independence of the judiciary is a cornerstone of the rule of law, and it cannot be left vulnerable to digital intimidation. And third, educators and moderators in public debate. We must use our voice individually and collectively to clarify the law, counter misinformation, and guide the public towards truth and reasoned discussion. The law must not be drowned out by noise. Fourthly, as ethical leaders, we must ensure our conduct online reflects the dignity of the profession. So law societies and bar associations should develop ethical guidelines to ensure a digital presence that upholds public trust. And fifth, as conveners of justice, we must consider multi-stakeholders in our response. So lawyers are uniquely placed to ensure regulation is balanced and the rights are protected and justice is not left behind. So in real terms, what can bar associations do? It is increasingly important that public and legal education campaigns using simple, accessible content to explain legal processes and rights are required. So there seems to be a need in the education of legal systems in school, including civics and in the importance of the rule of law, providing examples of how it affects citizens' rights. There also is a need to have a rapid response to disinformation. So bar associations may have to intervene quickly when false narratives about the law or courts spread online. Bar associations may consider developing ethical guidelines for lawyers online, equipping our lawyers with clear guidelines for responsible online engagements, supporting the judiciary and legal professionals under online attack, so issuance of the collective statements, defending independence when it's threatened by digital attacks, and also to engage all parties to mediate and to emphasize the points stated above. And lastly, advocate balanced regulation, including requiring social media companies to undertake increased monitoring to prevent the display of content related to specific cases requiring intervention. So there is a need to protect free expressions, but combat hate speech and disinformation and the cancel culture. And lastly, to share best practices across jurisdiction, because the challenges of social media do not stop at national borders. In closing, I would say that the rule of law requires protection in the digital age. Threats now come from digital screens, so lawyers must step forward, and bar associations should lead and turn social media from a danger into a tool for justice. We should emphasize our role as the guardians of truth, fairness, and justice, and of course affirm using wisdom, integrity, and courage to ensure that the law remain a compass for truth, stability, and fairness, no matter how loud the noise online, the online world has become. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lisa, for that presentation. And may I invite Chen Xiong, member from the Foreign Related Legal Services Committee,